There is a reason your life keeps repeating the same patterns, even when you try harder, even when you think differently, even when you pray, visualize, or hope. It isn't bad luck, it isn't fate, and it isn't the world working against you. Carl Jung warned us about this a century ago. He said that what you do not become conscious of will quietly shape your life from the shadows, and you will mistake it for reality. What if your circumstances are not the problem, but the signal you are unconsciously broadcasting? Stay with me, because once you see this, you will never experience your life the same way again. Jung understood a truth that unsettles the ego and liberates the soul. The outer world is not separate from your inner state. It is shaped by it. Not metaphorically, energetically, psychologically, relentlessly. Your mind is not a passive observer of reality. It is a transmitter. Every belief you hold, every emotion you rehearse, every identity you quietly accept, these are not thoughts floating in isolation. They form a frequency, a pattern, a signature. And that signature becomes your lived experience. Jung called it the psyche. Modern physics calls it a field. Mystics called it creation. Different languages, same truth. Imagine this. Your inner world is an echo chamber. What you whisper into it today becomes the voice that answers you tomorrow, through people, through events, through opportunity, or its absence. Most people never notice this echo. They chase circumstances, they fight effects, they try to force outcomes, and they remain exhausted. Because they are trying to change the reflection instead of the source. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Read that again, not with your eyes, but with your nervous system. What you are calling bad luck, what you are calling being stuck, what you are calling the way life is, these are not verdicts, they are broadcasts. Your inner state is not just a feeling, it is a command. And the universe, neutral and exact, obeys without judgment. This is what we mean by quantum frequency, not science fiction, not wishful thinking, but the lived intersection between psyche and reality. The point where your assumptions harden into form. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are being. That is the law of assumption, stripped of fantasy, rooted in responsibility. If you assume struggle is normal, reality confirms it. If you assume peace is rare, it stays distant. If you assume love must hurt, it arrives carrying pain. Not because the world is cruel, but because it is precise. Here is the uncomfortable liberation. Reality is not happening to you. It is responding from you. And the moment you see this, truly see it, something begins to shift. Because if your life is a frequency, then it can be tuned. But tuning does not happen through surface positivity. It happens through identity. Jung spoke often of the self, not the ego mask you wear, but the deeper organizing center of your being. The place where meaning, instinct, imagination, and destiny converge. When your inner self is fragmented, when fear contradicts desire, when doubt undermines intention, your frequency becomes noisy, incoherent, and life reflects that incoherence back as chaos. But when inner alignment occurs, when what you assume matches what you feel, reality reorganizes. Not instantly, but inevitably. This is why force fails and imagination succeeds. This is why chasing keeps you running, and being allows things to come. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is rehearsal for reality. Jung understood imagination as a bridge between the unconscious and the world. What you consistently imagine with emotional conviction becomes familiar to your nervous system, and what becomes familiar begins to feel normal, and what feels normal becomes real. This is why you can visualize success and still not receive it, because somewhere inside it still feels foreign, untrue, unsafe. The work is not to desire more. The work is to become congruent with what you desire. And here, right here, is your first moment of conscious choice. As you listen to these words, notice what stirs inside you. Not what you think, but what you feel. Resistance? Curiosity? Relief? Recognition? Pause for just a breath. If one word could describe what you are ready to shift within yourself right now, just one, leave that word in the comments. Not for anyone else, for your own declaration. This is not engagement. This is imprinting. Because the psyche listens when you speak with intention. Now, stay with me, because once you understand how deeply your inner frequency shapes your outer world, you can no longer pretend you are powerless. And the next layer of this journey will reveal something even more unsettling and freeing: why your struggles have been perfectly aligned with your current inner state, and how to dissolve them without force. We are only beginning. There is a secret most people never discover, not because it is hidden, but because it is uncomfortable to accept. Your life is honest, painfully honest. It reflects you with a precision that feels cruel only when you believe you are separate from it. But the moment you see the pattern, the cruelty dissolves into clarity. Carl Jung knew this. The psyche does not lie. It compensates. Whatever you deny within yourself, life will present to you in form. Whatever you repress, reality will exaggerate. Whatever you avoid feeling consciously, you will meet unconsciously through relationships, money, health, time, and circumstance. This is not punishment, it is balance, and balance is intelligent. You see, most people misunderstand the law of assumption. They think it means repeating affirmations, forcing optimism, or pretending to believe something they secretly doubt. But assumption is not what you say. It is what you expect without effort. It is the quiet conclusion you have already reached about who you are and what is possible for you. And Jung would tell you, that conclusion lives in the unconscious. The unconscious does not respond to words. It responds to identity. If you assume deep down that life is a struggle, then ease will feel suspicious. If you assume love disappears, then stability will feel boring. If you assume money is stressful, abundance will arrive carrying anxiety. The universe does not argue with your assumptions. It organizes around them. Think of your inner state like gravity. You don't see it, but everything bends around it. And here is the turning point most never reach. You are not meant to fight your inner state. You are meant to understand it. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of the shadow, the reconciliation of inner contradictions, the alignment of conscious intention with unconscious belief. When you do not integrate your shadow, the fears, the doubts, the guilt, the unspoken beliefs, you do not eliminate them. You give them control, and they speak through your life. This is why effort without inner alignment leads to burnout. This is why vision boards without identity shifts lead to frustration. This is why motivation fades, but patterns persist. Because patterns live below motivation. They live in assumption. Here is the paradox. You cannot change your life by trying to change your life. You change your life by changing what feels normal inside you. Normal is powerful. Normal is magnetic. What feels normal to you becomes your frequency. And frequency is not mystical. It is repetition with emotion. Every time you react the same way, every time you tell the same story about yourself, every time you expect the same outcome, you strengthen a signal. And that signal becomes your reality's blueprint. But the moment you interrupt the pattern, not with force, but with awareness, the system destabilizes. This is where imagination enters, not as fantasy, but as architecture. Jung saw imagination as a living bridge. When you imagine from the feeling of being fulfilled, not desiring, not hoping, but being, you introduce a new assumption to the unconscious. And the unconscious does not argue, it adapts. This is why imagining a future self is not about visualization, it is about emotional rehearsal. You are teaching your nervous system a new normal. And once something feels normal internally, the external world begins to echo it. Slowly at first, subtly, then unmistakably. This is where many people stop too early. They try it once or twice, see no immediate result, and return to their old identity. But identity is not changed by intensity, it is changed by consistency. This is why structured inner work matters. And this is where I want to invite you, briefly, deliberately, into something practical. If you feel the truth of what's being said, if you sense that your life is ready for a recalibration rather than another push, there is a 21-day Dream Life Challenge available in the description or pinned comment. It is not about wishing. It is about training your inner state daily, gently, powerfully, until your assumptions begin to shift and your reality follows. You don't need to commit now. Just know it exists, for the version of you that decides to stop drifting and start tuning. Now come back with me, because here's the deeper truth Jung understood. Your outer world is not fixed because you are not fixed. The psyche is plastic, the unconscious is responsive, and identity is more fluid than you were taught. The moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What inner state is this reflecting?" you reclaim authorship. This is not blame, this is power. And power, when held consciously, does not inflate the ego, it humbles it. Because you realize something profound. You have been creating, even when you didn't know it. The question is no longer whether you manifest, you always have. The question is whether you will do it consciously. And now, listen carefully, because this next realization changes everything. Your inner frequency does not only attract experiences, it filters perception. Two people can live in the same city, the same economy, the same era, and inhabit entirely different realities. One sees threat, the other sees opportunity. One sees delay, the other sees timing. One sees evidence of limitation, the other sees feedback. The world did not change, their frequency did. And that frequency determines what you notice, what you interpret, and what you act upon. Reality responds not just to your thoughts, but to your state of being. This is why peace precedes solutions. This is why confidence precedes opportunity. This is why certainty precedes movement. You do not wait for the world to change to feel different. You feel different, and the world reorganizes. This is not denial of hardship. It is mastery of meaning. And meaning, Jung knew this, is the deepest currency of the psyche. When you assign new meaning to yourself, life listens. And as we move into the next phase of this journey, we will step into something even more subtle and more powerful. How your inner frequency interacts with the universal field itself. Why synchronicities are not accidents. And how reality begins to collaborate with you once alignment is established. You are not late, you are not broken, you are tuning, and the signal is getting clearer. There comes a point in inner work where something extraordinary happens. Not dramatically, not with fireworks, but with a quiet rearranging of reality. You stop feeling alone in your efforts, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because it begins to respond. Carl Jung called these moments synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect, yet feel undeniably precise. Not random, not accidental, aligned. Most people dismiss them. The attentive notice them. The conscious begin to cooperate with them. Because synchronicity is the language of the field. And yes, there is a field. Not mystical fog, not blind chance. A living, responsive matrix of meaning in which psyche and matter are not separate realms, but two expressions of the same underlying order. Jung saw what physics would later attempt to describe. Reality is not a collection of objects. It is a process, a conversation between inner state and outer form. Your frequency does not simply attract outcomes, it interacts. Think of the universe not as a machine, but as a mirror with intelligence. It reflects, but it also amplifies, rearranges, and times its responses according to coherence. When your inner world is fragmented, the mirror fractures. When your inner world is aligned, the mirror clarifies. This is why alignment feels like momentum, why things fall into place, why help appears without being chased. Not because you became lucky, but because you became legible to the field. The universe responds to clarity. And clarity is not loud, it is consistent. Most people send mixed signals. They desire abundance but identify with scarcity. They want peace but rehearse conflict. They imagine success but feel unworthy of it. The field does not judge this contradiction, it reflects it. But when your assumption stabilizes, when your inner identity stops oscillating, the field responds with precision. This is where Jung's insight becomes radical. Your psyche is not sealed inside your skull. It extends outward into relationships, circumstances, symbols, and time. Your dreams speak in images. Reality answers in events. Both arise from the same source. And when you understand this, something shifts in how you move through the world. You stop forcing outcomes. You start listening. You pay attention to patterns. You notice repetition. You feel when something is aligned and when it is not. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is attunement. Just like a musician tuning an instrument, you begin to sense when your inner frequency is off, when fear tightens your chest, when doubt pulls you out of presence, when old identities attempt to reclaim the signal. And instead of fighting them, you observe them. Observation is power, because what you observe without judgment loses its grip. This is where many misunderstand manifestation. They think it requires constant control, relentless focus, mental domination. But Jung would tell you, the psyche resists force, but responds to relationship. You do not dominate your inner world, you dialogue with it. You ask, what belief is being revealed here? What assumption is asking to be updated? What identity no longer serves coherence? And in that inquiry, integration happens. The shadow does not disappear, it integrates. And integration increases coherence, and coherence increases influence. This is the unseen mechanics of conscious creation. Now, listen closely, because this is a turning point in the journey. There comes a moment when the universe tests your new frequency, not to punish you, but to stabilize the signal. Old patterns may resurface, Familiar triggers may appear. Past identities may knock at the door. This is not regression, it is calibration. The field is asking, is this who you are now, or was that just a momentary thought? And your response is not what you say, it is what you embody. If you react from the old self, the pattern repeats. If you respond from the new assumption, the loop breaks. This is where most people give up, right before coherence locks in. But if you stay, if you remain internally consistent, if you allow imagination to lead behavior, something remarkable happens. Reality stops resisting. You begin to experience what feels like cooperation. People respond differently, timing improves, obstacles soften or reroute. Not because the world changed, but because your relationship to it did. This is why Jung believed meaning was not found, it was generated. When inner and outer align, life feels purposeful, directed, alive. And now, pause here with me. Take a breath. Notice where you feel this truth in your body, not intellectually, somatically. If there is a sentence you could quietly claim right now, something simple, something true, leave it in the comments. A short declaration, a recognition, a shift. This is not for affirmation, this is for anchoring. Because the psyche responds to declaration when it feels honest. Now let us go deeper. The universal field is not something you enter later. You are already in it. Every thought is an interaction. Every emotion is a signal. Every assumption is a command. The question is not whether the field is listening. It always is. The question is whether you are broadcasting clearly. And clarity does not mean perfection. It means congruence. When what you think, feel, and assume point in the same direction, the signal strengthens. And strong signals move reality. This is how wealth manifests, not as money first, but as capacity. This is how peace manifests, not as silence, but as stability. This is how love manifests, not as pursuit, but as availability. The field responds to what you are available for. If you are available for struggle, it provides challenges. If you are available for growth, it provides teachers. If you are available for abundance, it provides channels. Availability is frequency, and frequency is choice, repeated. You are not here to control the universe, you are here to collaborate with it. And collaboration requires trust, not blind trust, but experiential trust built through consistency. As we approach the final phase of this journey, everything begins to converge. Inner state, assumption, imagination, field. They are not separate teachings. They are one mechanism seen from different angles. And in the final block, we will bring it all home, into tangible application. Not motivation, not hype, but a grounded roadmap for embodying a frequency that produces wealth, peace, and meaning as byproducts of alignment. You are not chasing the future, you are tuning the present, and the signal is almost locked in. There is a final threshold, and almost no one crosses it consciously. It is the moment you stop using these ideas and start living from them. Because understanding frequency is not the end. Embodiment is. Carl Jung never intended his work to remain intellectual. He warned against that. Knowledge without integration becomes another mask, another way to avoid transformation while feeling enlightened. The psyche does not transform through insight alone. It transforms through practice made personal. And here, right here, is the quiet truth that completes the journey. Your inner state does not change your life because you think differently. It changes your life because you move differently. You choose differently. You respond differently. You inhabit yourself differently. This is where frequency becomes form. Most people wait for external proof before they allow themselves to change. They wait for money before feeling secure. They wait for love before feeling worthy. They wait for peace before relaxing their vigilance. But the law of assumption reverses the sequence. You become first. Reality follows, not as reward, but as reflection. Jung understood this through the archetype of the self, the organizing intelligence within you that seeks wholeness. When you align with it, effort decreases and direction increases. You stop scattering energy. You stop proving. You stop chasing. And life responds with coherence. This does not mean challenges disappear. It means challenges no longer define you. You meet them as information, not identity. This is the mature state of conscious creation. You are no longer trying to manifest outcomes. You are embodying a state. And outcomes reorganize naturally. Wealth stops being a goal and becomes a byproduct of value alignment. Peace stops being a destination and becomes a baseline. Purpose stops being searched for and starts expressing itself. This is not fantasy. This is psychology aligned with reality. Here is what embodiment looks like in real time. When fear arises, you do not suppress it. You notice it without obeying it. When doubt speaks, you do not argue. You refuse to identify with it. When the old story returns, you acknowledge it without continuing it. This is how frequency stabilizes. Consistency over intensity. Identity over effort. Presence over force. You begin to ask different questions, not how do I get this, but who am I being right now? Because being is the signal, and the signal is everything. At this stage, imagination changes function. It is no longer a tool for escaping the present. It becomes a way of inhabiting the future now. You imagine not to wish, but to familiarize. You let your nervous system learn what it feels like to be grounded, capable, abundant, calm. Not dramatically, naturally. And once something feels natural, reality has no reason to resist it. This is why repetition matters. This is why daily inner alignment compounds. This is why short, consistent practices outperform grand gestures. The psyche trusts what is familiar, and familiarity becomes destiny. Now here is the final, often missed realization. The one Jung hinted at, but only experience confirms. You do not create your life once. You are creating it continuously. Every moment is a tuning moment. Every reaction is a vote. Every assumption is a brushstroke. There is no finish line where you arrive. There is only alignment deepening. And this is not exhausting. It is freeing. Because it means you no longer need to get it right forever. You only need to return to coherence again and again. This is mastery, not control, but return. And when you live this way, something subtle but profound happens. Life begins to feel participatory. You sense timing. You trust pauses. You act when aligned and wait without anxiety. You are no longer fighting reality. You are conversing with it. This is the state Jung believed modern humanity desperately needed. Not more information, but integration. Not more speed, but meaning. Because meaning organizes chaos. And now, this is the promise hinted at the beginning, the truth revealed only at the end. The life you desire is not on a different timeline. It is on a different frequency. And frequency is not distance, it is state. When you shift state, you collapse time. Opportunities that once felt far begin to appear nearby. People who resonate find you. Paths open where resistance once lived. Not magically, naturally. Because you are no longer sending a fragmented signal. You are becoming legible. To yourself, to others, to the field. And legibility invites response. This is why the world seems to open for some and resist others, not because of worth, but because of coherence. The universe responds to clarity. So the final question is not, do I believe this? Belief is optional. The question is, who will you be after this moment? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because now is where tuning happens. And if there is one quiet truth to carry forward, let it be this: you are not here to force reality. You are here to embody the state that reality reflects. That is Jung's gift to the modern world. That is the quantum insight beneath the psychology. That is the doorway you are already standing in. Nothing is missing, nothing is broken. You are not late. You are becoming coherent. And from coherence, everything follows.